It's time for Debrief, TRT World's wrap-up of the top stories from last week.
Well, today was supposed to be a bit of a any such disruptions.
Kind of annoying.
Israel has killed at least 21 people, including 5 journalists, in a double strike on Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis.
Hussam was manning that camera when Israeli forces attacked and killed him. And a few minutes later, rescue workers and other journalists rushed to the scene. They were attacked. So in total, 5 journalists were killed, including my friend Hussam and my friend Maryam Abu Dakka.
Israel also says that it does not have a policy of attacking journalists. And of course, the mounting death toll of journalists, about 245, the highest in any conflict, tells a different story.
The assaults come as Israel pushes further into Gaza City, despite a top Israeli army official urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the 60-day ceasefire proposal agreed to by Hamas.
He says the military has achieved the terms set out by Netanyahu when the war on Gaza began. More striking, the Major General believes the occupation of Gaza City endangers the lives of the remaining hostages.
Protesters across Israel are taking part in what they are calling a day of disruption.
What I can see and what I can tell is that the situation in Gaza is horrible. And I not only do not take any pleasure, I want to see it end.
But much to the dismay of hundreds of thousands of people outside of the Israeli Defense Ministry, where these talks, the Security Cabinet convening, was taking place, reports say that no talks of a ceasefire agreement was actually put on the table, only that of the expansion of the war on Gaza.
The Israeli army has announced they're stopping all tactical pauses. They have provided a window for the little aid that was entering Gaza City. The military has now declared the whole area to be a dangerous combat zone. Its aim is to take full control of Gaza City, having told residents their evacuation is inevitable.
85% of the enclave is already under forced displacement orders, areas that Israel considers combat zones and unsafe for civilians. Israel is urging civilians to move south to designated safe zones despite overcrowding in those areas and being under constant bombardment.
The U.S. State Department says it has revoked Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's visa, along with those of 80 other officials from the authority.
It is important that all member states, permanent observers, be able to be represented, especially, I think in this case, with the, as we know, the upcoming two-state solution meeting.
Last month, the U.S. State Department called this planned summit on a two-state solution for next month, and Palestinian statehood a publicity stunt.
A shocking move, and I hope that UNGA does what it did the last time the United States tried to block a discussion of Palestine by revoking a visa to the Palestinian Authority President Yasser Arafat, which is to move their UN General Assembly meeting to Geneva. That is what we are urging the United Nations to do.
We start in Ukraine, where Kiev has come under one of the heaviest overnight attacks in weeks.
Kiev woke up to destruction after a massive overnight attack. Missiles tore into residential areas, leaving families to clear rubble and count their losses.
The night looked like a horror movie, except it was not a movie.
Hundreds of buildings were destroyed.
You feel horrific primal fear that pierces your body with needles.
Moscow insists that it targeted the military airfields, the infrastructure that is related to those.
There are no military facilities around here.
Those Russian missiles also struck buildings belonging to the European Union and the British Council. Military analysts say those attacks were intentional.
Russia's strikes on Kiev have drawn international condemnation. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said the attacks on civilian targets show Putin is willing to continue war. And the UK has summoned the Russian ambassador.
We will come forward soon with our 19th package of hard-biting sanctions. And in parallel, we are advancing the work on the Russian frozen assets to contribute to Ukraine's defense and reconstruction.
They're looking at use of frozen Russian assets, around 198 billion euro.
Germany says Russia is the greatest threat to Europe's security.
That is, as its cabinet approved a draft bill which, if successful, would introduce voluntary military service.
It wants to double the number of soldiers and reservists ready if needed, with a voluntary scheme starting at the beginning of next year. A part of Europe and NATO's wider drive to protect itself.
The Kremlin has rejected a European proposal to deploy Western troops in Ukraine to guarantee security. Russia says its desire to prevent NATO countries from having a military presence in Ukraine is one of the initial reasons behind the ongoing war.
Russia is in touch with the Ukrainian delegation. However, there's been no framework for further meetings between the two sides.
And from the White House, more mixed messages. White House spokesperson said that while Trump was not happy about this latest attack, she also suggested that Ukraine shares some of the blame for its attacks on Russian oil refineries.
The UN Security Council will hold an emergency session in the coming hours with almost all members agreeing Russia is not serious about making peace with Ukraine.
And here's another serving of top stories with our news in brief. Denmark is seeing red over U.S. President Donald Trump's fixation on Greenland.
According to an expose, there's been some foreign meddling, with the Trump administration at the heart of it.
This is inherently completely unacceptable, and therefore, in light of the information that has emerged, I have decided that we will convene the American Charge of Affairs.
There have been so-called covert influence operations involving several Americans with ties to the US president and the White House. It's brought back Trump's words that infuriated Greenland, which is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark.
And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security.
And Turkey's missile defenses are getting a major boost with its homegrown Steel Dome project.
The project is a joint effort led by the Turkish defense giant Aselsan, aiming to integrate multiple layers of domestic air defense system sensors and weapons to protect the Turkish airspace.
The testing and integration processes in the field have been successfully completed. Turkey is now stronger and more prepared against air threats.
It's been several weeks of an uneasy ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia since their 5-day deadly border war touched off in July. But Thailand has accused Cambodia of planting landmines along their 800-kilometer shared border after the ceasefire was signed.
In less than 1 month, there's already been 5 incidents of landmine explosions that have caused severe casualties and injuries to our soldiers.
TRT World, along with other foreign media, were recently granted special access. The Thai military said these landmines do not date back to previous conflicts with Cambodia along the border. So some of these mines that have been found by the Thai military, they allege that they're new mines that have been planted on the 4th of August, and after that. This is despite the ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia that came into effect on the 28th of July.
Paetongtarn Shinawatra has been removed as Thailand's Prime Minister. The Constitutional Court found her guilty of breaching ethics after a hugely controversial phone call with former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen.
She was accused of pandering to Sen and criticising her own Thai military.
It's taken 128 years, but France has finally returned the skull of a Madagascan king that it stole just to put on display at the Museum of Mankind in Paris. It's the third such return, deemed a step towards national healing by the island nation.
Wrapped in traditional clothing, the boxes carrying the colonial-era skulls were officially handed over in a solemn ceremony. One of them is believed to be that of Madagascar's King Toira, who was decapitated by French troops during a 19th century massacre. In 1897, his skull was taken to France as a trophy and placed in Paris' National History Museum alongside hundreds of other remains from the Indian Ocean island.
These are not mere collectible objects. They are the invisible and undeniable ties, Madam Minister, that connect our present with our past. Their absence for over a century, 128 years, has been an open wound in the heart of the Great Island, and particularly in the Sakalava community of Manabe.
It is the first time France used a new law passed in 2023 aimed at speeding up the return of human remains from collections in France, where a 2018 government report showed around 90,000 looted African artifacts are still held by French public museums.
And don't forget our programs, Africa Matters, Money Talks, and Beyond the Game.
The current size of the map of Africa is wrong. It's the world's longest misinformation and disinformation campaign, and it just simply has to stop.
Africa is the world's second largest continent by area after Asia, with about 1.5 billion people in 54 countries. The Marketer map shows Greenland, which is about 2.2 million square kilometers, as roughly the same size as the continent, which is in fact 14 times larger. Yet the Equal Earth map projection, which follows the Earth's curvature, shows Greenland is actually around the size of Sudan and Egypt combined. In fact, you can easily fit 14 Greenlands inside the African continent. And not just that, you can fit Mexico, Japan, India, China, Greenland, and the United States, and much of Europe into the African continent.
I think the real life implications of it is that when you're dealing with something that is much bigger than it is, your policies towards it, your investment into it are actually impacted because you're basing it on incorrect information.
There is a very tangible link between the map and perception, because undermining and showing a reduced continent and a smaller continent very much undermines also that false perception of importance and power.
US monopolies are a thing of the past. Think again. From Apple to Amazon, the biggest names in Silicon Valley are facing major antitrust lawsuits. Elon Musk's XAI has sued Apple and OpenAI, claiming the partnership could give ChatGPT an unfair advantage. Musk says Apple favors ChatGPT on its App Store, making it impossible for other AI chatbots to reach #1. And it's not the first time Apple has been accused of boxing out competition. Just 2 months ago, it lost a key attempt to shut down a separate antitrust case. Another tech giant battling with numerous antitrust cases is Google. A major court ruling found that Google illegally monopolized the digital ads market and controls 90% of online search in one of the biggest antitrust losses in tech history.
Tournaments. In the world of sport, we kind of know the drill, we know how they work, right? But this Esports World Cup is a bit different. Come around, let me explain, I'll explain. Now, all right, this isn't only a single event, it's a multi-week odyssey. Think the Olympics for the digital age or the Champions League for controllers.
The biggest game of the season.
Now, understanding all the interest is just simple math. Gaming is on the very forefront of modern entertainment. It comfortably eclipses both film and music combined, with a market size of almost $300 billion. This one is only the second edition, but it's already the largest professional esports event in the world. Hence, it's being called a World Cup. And with the name comes star power. You have Cristiano Ronaldo, the official ambassador, Kaká and OG Ronaldo. They played EAFC together here. And pop star Post Malone headlined the very flashy opening ceremony.